Hello, Jacques. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being here today.
Thank
Happy
you for having me.
You're welcome. So we're going to spend some time together today to share your experience, your impression, your state of mind as a student, but also as a professional, because I think you have chosen the work-study track within your
Yeah.
briefing. So could you tell us more about the impression that you actually have since regarding the post-COVID situation?
Yeah, so COVID in itself was quite a tricky situation when it comes to studying, because we went from doing everything in a classroom, face to face with a teacher to being behind a screen, 100% of the time. So when COVID kind of dialed down, and we had the opportunity to go back into real classrooms, most of the students, myself included, took that opportunity straight away, while others decided to stay on a computer for a while. So there was a hybrid. So we were able to either be at home or go back to a classroom. But for myself, it was important to get back into a routine and a real studying with face-to-face interactions with my peers and my teachers. I think that was the easiest and the best solution for my studies going forward, especially after spending about a year and a half behind a screen alone at home. It was important to get back to face-to-face.
But have you felt that uncomfortable or quite difficult to be very concentrated all the time when you had to get back to, face-to-face courses again? I mean, on-site classes. Was it difficult, in terms of being fully focused on the classroom all the time instead of being behind your computer, working remotely, etc.?
I think it was easier. It depended on what we were studying, but I found that coming back to class and being able to do group projects with my peers together in the same classroom and not being disconnected and behind a screen was a lot easier. And I think it was easier as well for the teachers themselves, because they didn't see us when we were behind a screen. Not everybody put their cameras on, so it was like talking to a blank canvas. So I think for teachers as well, it was important for them to see their students again. And after COVID, I think the way of teaching also changed for them. So there was a lot more interaction between us and the teachers. So I think it actually became easier to be concentrated in class, because you kind of disconnect quite easily or quicker when you're behind a screen and alone, and you have no interaction really. So I think coming back to a classroom was even better for most of us, because it made us realize that interactions and seeing your teacher and being able to communicate is quite important when you're studying.
Yeah, I agree. But how would you define your interactions with your faculty, your professors, I mean, compared to the intense COVID outbreak?
Well, I think when COVID hit and we were at home all the time, communication kind of became a bit more complicated because everything was done through emails or conversations, but digitally. Whereas going back to school made it easier because I could actually go and see teachers, go and see the administration if I needed help or I had a question about anything really. So it made it easier to be able to go and see teachers and talk to them straight away instead of having to send emails all the time. So I think it actually helped communications with faculty in general. I mean, even nowadays, going back to school, we do still send a lot of emails, and a lot of communication is done digitally and through emails and releases of information. But we have that option if we're at school to go and talk to people straight away, and it also gets us. It makes us have an answer a lot quicker than if we have to wait for an answer for an email that can take a couple of days. If we just need a quick response, it's easier to go and see the person in person.
Yeah. And if you had the choice between one hybrid course and a fully on-site course, which one would you choose?
Fully on site. I don't work. I'm not very productive when I'm alone at home. Distractions are easily found. So I always prefer to be on site, whether it be work or studying. I always try and go as much on site as possible because it helps me and my concentration, but it also allows me to see people and not be alone in a room for a full day.
Okay, and because you also work at the moment, have you felt like a specific evolution or some important changes in the way the company working conditions and also in their expectations in terms of skills, competencies? Do you think the COVID has had a very strong impact on this? I mean, both working conditions and also in terms of competencies expected by the companies and your employer in particular. If you do that, I mean,
yeah, of course. Yeah. But for my company in particular, I started working there as an intern last summer, so I already arrived post-COVID, we could say. But from the feedback I've had over the months working there, and from employees that have been there during COVID and before COVID, for example, working from home has changed a lot. It's become, for my company, for example, it's become the norm, and the exception is to go into the office. So employees are free to go to work from home up to four days a week. And so I think that helps as well with professional and personal life as well. I don't
feel comfortable with that? I mean, because you said previously that sometimes it's a bit difficult to be fully concentrated on what you're actually doing. So is it the same story for your work, or is it easier for you to be devoted to one mission or one project and be very focused on this?
Yeah, so I don't work from home. I try and work from home as little as possible. So I go into the office every day. So I don't have that problem with working from home and being distracted very easily. But I know that for some people who I work with, it's very important for them to work from home because they're a lot more concentrated. And with our digital tools that we have today, communicating and working on projects with multiple people, even working from home, it's quite easy to do today. So I don't think working from home has a negative impact. I think it, especially for my company, it's had a very good impact on work and productivity with most of the employees at the business, really.
So you don't have the feeling that some companies still do not really encourage remote working? I mean, you have the impression that your company actually encourage people to do so, and they are not like suspicious on the quality of their work or anything. They are quite right.
Yeah, I think it's all based on trust, and they know the capabilities of the people that they employ. So I think it's taken time. I know that before COVID, they weren't really keen on working from home, but I think COVID has changed perception of the way people work today. And I think I know a lot of companies still have a few issues with working from home, but I think people are starting to realize that working from home doesn't mean that you're less productive. It can actually mean the opposite. And if you trust your employees and you know they'll do the job wherever they work, really, So for my company, it's been a massive benefit, and I know that for a lot of companies, I have a few colleagues and a few peers from school that work in companies as well that allow working from home, and I know that it's a big benefit for them personally, but also for the employees in general in multiple companies, really.
And Jacques, do you think that the fact that some companies are still reluctant to remote working, teleworking, do you think that it's really French? Do you think that it's easier abroad?
Yes, yeah, I think it's we're very the French really like to have certain norms, and it's a very very structured way of thinking and way of working. I know that companies in England or the United States are more flexible on working from home and that sort of work style. But I think perceptions are changing in France slowly. A lot more startups are being created in France and are kind of mirroring what other countries do and what other companies in other countries do. So I think the mentality of working from home and having that flexibility of being able to work whatever hours you want and being able to work from wherever you want is starting to grow in France as well. I think it'll only keep growing. I think once the younger generations that are coming through are going to be in a lot of companies in France, I think mentalities are slowly going to move forward to a more flexible way of working, really.
Yeah. Thank you for that feedback. Do you personally feel stronger since the pandemic in terms of your professional career, your plans, or do you have the impression that you are still flying blind? I mean, regarding your professional career, do you have a new plan of what you want to do, for instance?
I think my way of thinking has pretty much stayed the same, whether it was during COVID or post COVID. I think what has changed is COVID was kind of a stressful situation, especially in the professional world, because a lot of people were being let go from companies because they didn't need as much workforce. But I think that tendency is starting to change again. People are finding new jobs. New jobs are being created as well because there's new needs as well in companies after COVID. They've realized that some things don't work anymore, but new things can work because of COVID. So I think it's opened up my vision on what the professional world is. I already kind of have a vision of where I want to be, and where I am actually at the moment is kind of in the path of what I want to do later on. But I think that COVID, I don't know if I would say it's made me stronger. It's opened up my eyes on what has changed and what could change and what needs to be changed as well. Because I think there's a lot of things that still need to be changed today. We were talking about working from home and flexibility with hours and things like that. I think these are things that are going to change in the next few years. I think we're going to gain flexibility as well. And I think it's important because younger generation are starting to realize that their personal life is as important as their professional life. So I think that things will change. So yeah, I think post-COVID has opened up my eyes more than made me stronger, if that makes sense.
Yeah, fair enough. So would you like to suggest or share some practices you would like to benefit from, both for your learning experience, but also for your working experience? Something you would like to experience, to live, both as a student and a professional?
Post-COVID?
Yeah, something you like to get from your employer and from your business school that you do not have at the moment.
Yeah, I think I'm at the end of my student career. I'm at the end of my studies. So in terms of school and studies, I think I've kind of gone through through everything that I can do. I've seen what it is to have lessons from home. I've seen what it is to be in a hybrid mode or full time on site. I've had professional experience from studying as well with my part-time contract at the moment. I've been abroad studying as well. I think that's helped as well. Post-COVID has opened up countries again and universities abroad. So I think that's going to help for new students and students that are kind of going through their studies at the moment. I was lucky enough to be just after COVID, so I was able to go abroad. But I know that people from a couple of years back weren't able to. So I don't know if there's anything else really study wise that I'd like to do, but professionally, I think that at the moment I'm in the right path. I think opportunities will kind of open up, whether it be change of role or more missions. I think that maybe in a few years see what it is to work abroad as well, possibly. But it's not one of my main targets at the moment. My main target at the moment is to build myself professionally as well, and to stick to a company for the next few years and be able to grow with them and help them grow as well. I think that's important for me, and that's where I get my satisfaction, is seeing that what I'm doing for the company is helping them achieve their goals as well. So I think growing in the company on a mid to long term, probably what I'd like to do next year.
Okay, thank you. Tell me if I'm not right, Jacques, but I think you have chosen the entrepreneurship major during your...
Yeah.
Okay. Why have you chosen this one? Do you want to develop your entrepreneurial mindset? And if so, in which way do you think the COVID has helped you to manage and to deal with uncertainty?
So I chose the entrepreneurship course just to have more knowledge about what it is to create a company, how it works, how to create it, because I come from a management background. My first 2 years were specifically management, and I thought it'd be interesting to get a bit more knowledge about actually what a company is and how to create it and how to make it grow. So I didn't choose entrepreneurship to create my own company. That's not where my head's at the moment. My goal is to manage and to have a team, and to help grow a team and make them as productive as possible. But it was interesting, and it is still interesting to be in that course, because it's helping me realize how startups are created, and what they need in order to function and to grow. And as I'm working in a startup at the moment, it's quite interesting to have the theoretical parts on one side, and the practical parts on the other side with work. So I think that's what's interesting for me. And with relation to COVID, I think that companies are starting to realize that it's quite difficult, but they're seeing a kind of an opening happening at the moment where creating companies is necessary, and it's quite. I think we're at a point now where it's actually quite good to create a company. I think there's a need for companies at the moment, and young companies. Technological wise, it's quite important. I think there's a lot to be done, especially with COVID. I think we've realized that there are a lot of things that can be done on the tech side. And I do see professionally at the moment that there are still a lot of uncertainties, and there's a lot of impact on what COVID did economically. I think we're still tying up loose ends from what COVID did to us, especially in my branch of work. We're still feeling the hit of COVID. So I think for a lot of companies, it's still going to take a bit of time to get them to where they were before COVID. I think we'll get there in the next couple of years if COVID outbreak doesn't happen again.
Fingers crossed. Yeah. Do you have a new set of competencies you would like to develop to help your team to grow and also the company you work in at the moment? Do you think you need extra skills to be developed?
I don't know if I need extra skills. I think I need to work on the skills that I've already gained and that I'm gaining through my education and the fact that I'm working as well. So I think that the basic skills and competencies are the ones I need to work on. I mean, technologically, there's things that I can obviously improve on, especially as we're moving to a full on digital age. I think it's today, especially, you need to be comfortable with tech and how it works. So I think these are skills that I could build in the future and that could help me professionally as well. Learning certain tech skills such as coding, developing, and stuff like that. I think these are jobs that are kind of coming up the ranks and are becoming the most important jobs in a lot of companies. So I think these are possibly new skills that I can work on, but they're not at the moment. They're not what I'm concentrating on. I think I need to build on the skills that I already have and improve those before moving on to a new set of skills.
Yeah, you have the time.
Yeah.
Don't be in the rush. Okay, that's good. Thank you very much for your input. That was a pleasure to have you today sharing your experience and your vision. And thank you for that, Jacques. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Congratulations. You are about to be graduated. So I know it's a bit in advance, but I know you're going to complete your program. So congratulations for that. And
thank you very much.
Hopefully I'll see you soon.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.